On today's video, I want to take a look at what draft targets could genuinely be worth trying to tank for. And you're probably not going to get you can't get every guy on this list. You're going to miss out on several of them. Like that's going to be, I think, the key thing there for the Dallas Cowboys is being able to have success the rest of this year in terms of actually not winning games. Play your young players, because in the end, the Cowboys long term are going to be best served by securing a top draft pick for this upcoming year. The best case scenario for Dallas, and we'll talk more about this in just a second, is you get into quarterback range, and then you either take one or you trade that pick. So first up is the obvious tanking target, Trevor Lawrence here. Look, he's the top quarterback, top prospect for the 2021 NFL Draft, and although he is recovering from a bout with COVID, he has looked awesome this year. And as much as I would be like, yeah, let's get Trevor Lawrence, get that number 1 overall pick, I'll take him, I'll reset my quarterback contract clock, I'll trade Dak away, buy a bunch of defensive players. That's a great strategy. It really is. I don't think you're getting the number 1 overall pick. I would love to find a way to do it, but the Jets are a thing. Like, as bad as the Cowboys' passing game has been, it's been even better than New York's. The Jets are very clear. They're going to find a way to get Trevor Lawrence. They're going to blow games down the stretch. They're going to get that number 1 overall pick, and they're going to build their entire franchise around Trevor Lawrence. And I think that's a very smart path for the Jets. And the Cowboys, you know what? Honestly, maybe Dak willing a miracle comeback against the Atlanta Falcons actually cost you in that. Maybe if you had lost that game, you could have gotten Trevor Lawrence. But with already 2 wins, that just might be one too many. So who do you guys want to draft? I don't think you're going to get Trevor Lawrence. Some more names, more realistic names coming up here in just a second, by position, by the way. So if you're watching on YouTube, let me know which player or players do you want the Dallas Cowboys to draft in the 2021 NFL Draft. Another quarterback here, Justin Fields. I think he is a borderline lock top 5 pick, and we're only in November. That's pretty unusual here. The clear favorite to be quarterback 2. He has been awesome over his first 2 games. But Fields also represents an unusual situation for a team like the Cowboys because he's very clearly a really good quarterback prospect. He's also a prospect. The odds of a top 5 pick turning into a top 10 quarterback genuinely have not been very good over the past few years. And if they do turn into that, it takes them several seasons. And by then you got to pay him again, and you're right back where you started with, hey, your quarterback developed, but now you got to pay him massive amounts of money. So it's tricky there. Fields is a great prospect. And because of that, I think a litany of quarterback-needy teams, if you're drafting ahead of them, Jacksonville's got all kinds of draft picks. The Giants, even the Falcons, Washington. There is a massive amount of teams that could be like, ooh, yeah, let's trade up and take Justin Fields. Like, I think that makes a lot of sense for this Dallas Cowboys football team. I think that's a good idea. To trade down and command a draft haul, I think that's an idea. So I'll let you guys vote on this one because you got a lot of options if, hypothetically, you do get a top 5 or top 3 or top 2 pick. What should Dallas do in round 1? And I'm going to make this the pinned comment because I'm super curious how you guys vote. Do you want to go quarterback? Type in QB. Do you want to go with just the best player available? Type in BPA. Or do you want to trade down? Type in T for trade. Let's talk about Penei Sewell, who is actually the last of the offensive players we're going to talk about on today's show. He is the clear-cut best offensive lineman in this class. I think he's a tackle. I know that people are like, oh, you should play him at guard. Yeah, he dominated the Pac-12. He's allowed 1 sack in 2 years. I don't know about you guys, but in general, I'm not trying to take these really great college tackle prospects and say, you know what, put him to guard immediately. Like, let's see what they can do for a little bit. And Sewell could end up being the very best player on the board for the Dallas Cowboys. The question is, where do you slot him in? Because in theory, he's your long-term left tackle, but you could bring Tyron Smith back. Maybe you trade him away. Maybe you trade Tyron and that's your solution. Are you going to bench Connor Williams, who legitimately has actually been pretty good this past, ever since the Rams game, really? You have your long-term center, I think. As long as La'el Collins is healthy, you have your right side of the line locked in. So I don't know where you end up putting Penei Sewell. Now, it's a good problem to have. Maybe a team would be desperate to trade up for him, and that, of course, is the trade discussion we had earlier. I like him a lot. When the Cowboys are on the clock, he might very well be, if he's still there, be my top available overall player. But needs matter in the NFL draft. You can't just be out there taking the best player over and over, because that's how you end up with 7 receivers, or no quarterbacks, or no defense that the Cowboys are in right now. So if all things are equal, or at least close enough to being equal, and I already see some of you guys commenting in here, offense or defense, which way are you going in the first round? Type O for offense or type in your D for defense. Let's talk defense now here. Gregory Rousseau, the highly productive, freaky athlete, edge rusher out of Miami, who opted out of the 2020 season. And you look at his sack production and his production, and you go, oh my God, this guy's the greatest edge prospect since the Bosa's and Chase Young. Not quite. A lot of Rousseau's production actually came lined up in the interior, and although he won quickly a lot, when he did not win quickly, he did not win. And that is a concern. There's not much counters. In all honesty, I know if Rousseau had gone back to school, his production would have dropped. I think it might have been better for him. So of the edge guys, I think right now he's your best option. If you re-sign Aldon Smith, kind of a moot point, I think, in terms of spending another high premium pick on an edge guy. But I would at least consider. He's not a top 5 lock, but he's a very, very good football player and a really tantalizing NFL draft prospect. Now you can bet on a whole bunch of stuff on BetUS, not just the Cowboys games. You can bet on college football as well. So head over to chatsports.com/bet. Use the promo code you see on screen. That is Cowboys125. Get a 125% deposit bonus. Keep betting against the Cowboys. It's chatsports.com/bet. The promo code is Cowboys125. A lot of you guys have asked about Micah Parsons. And in terms of pure defensive talent, arguably the best defensive prospect. He is fantastic against the run. He blitzes like an edge rusher. He's shown some promise in coverage with pass breakups. The value of an off-ball linebacker isn't that high. And think about what I just said again. Great versus the run. He can blitz something special. He did have 5 pass breakups. It's a little bit deceptive there. He's an off-ball linebacker who, if you wanted to, you could play as an edge rusher. And honestly, it might be his best spot in terms of value early in round 1. Who did I just describe? It's Jalen Smith. That is who Micah Parsons remind me of. Pre-injury, Jalen Smith. And again, I love the player. He is an awesome football player. Please don't think this is shade at Micah Parsons, because I love Jalen Smith pre-injury. He was my best player in that draft, and Parsons might end up being a top 5 guy for me. But when I rank my players, I don't factor in positional value. And as good as I think Micah Parsons is going to be, I think there is a very real chance that an equally good, if not better, cornerback is going to be on the board for the Cowboys, or even if you trade down, get an extra asset and take a corner there. So what would you guys do if you're in the top 5, which I think is what tanking is really for? Would you take an off-ball linebacker, meaning not an edge rusher, not an Aldon Smith or a Randy Gregory, you're taking a Jalen Smith, Leighton Vander Esch type player? Would you take him in the top 5? Type Y for yes or type in N for no. Let's talk corners now, because there's a lot of them that I want to mention here. Patrick Surtain, no way around it, has been awesome this year. Now, before the Mississippi State game, which is where I had him trotted up to, 21 targets, he allowed 10 catches for 110 yards. Folks, that is really good, and I know it's not the best competition. Mississippi State has been bad. You did get a pick against them. A lot of touchdown against Tennessee. I think Surtain is becoming the guy all the draft nicks thought he was going to end up being. He has been, maybe it's still Derek Stingley, who, again, not draft eligible, but this might be the best corner in college football this year. And I know you typically don't draft a corner in the top 5. Well, you trade down and get one, but it's value there. He's been really good for this Alabama football team. He has been a legitimate number 1 corner. Now you can pair Surtain and Trevon Diggs on the outside. Ooh, that's fun. That's really fun. And in fact, corner is one of your biggest needs, because you have Trevon Diggs, who is continuing to show promise. Love him. Anthony Brown, you can get by with him as your nickel corner. Your next guys are free agents. Chidobe Awuzie, Jordan Lewis, C.J. Goodwin, and then it's Maurice Candidate coming back from the COVID opt-out list. Reggie Robinson has played a bunch of safety, Savion Smith, and Chris Westry as well. I think this next question is pretty obvious. Secondary in general is the Dallas Cowboys' biggest need, and especially with what you're looking to do in the first round, I think cornerback makes the most sense. So give me your votes in here. What is the Cowboys' biggest need? Another corner that I'm a big-time fan of, Caleb Farley out of Virginia Tech. Now, he opted out of the 2020 CFP season, which is a concern. You wonder what kind of shape he's going to be in. But from what we saw on tape at Virginia Tech and the way that I fully expect and for everyone else expects him to test, this is the dude that you want. He has all of the tools. He's long, he's lanky, he's athletic, he's got great size, and he can make plays on the football. Look at this production, 2018, 2019. Injury's a bit of a red flag there, to be sure, but 6 interceptions, 19 pass breakups in 2 seasons. And teams were not throwing his way. Look at this stat. This is bonkers coverage stats. Shout out PFF. 36%. That is all the time. That's the percentage that Caleb Farley got beat. It went for 257 yards, 1 touchdown, and he picked off 4 passes and 12 pass breakups. I mean, that is insane. And oh, by the way, he's 6'2", 207. And oh, by the way, he might run in the 4.4s or lower. Yeah, this guy's really good. I am disappointed I did not get to see him play football this year. He could also be kind of your dream trade down target. Move down from 5 or whatever, get a few extra picks, and then take Caleb Farley. And now your secondary can actually play some man-to-man and cover guys better than what they've been doing all season. The name that many of you have commented before is Shaun Wade. Now, he's moving from nickel to outside cornerback this year, and I loved him last year as a nickel, and I thought with his physical skill set that he actually projected as a better outside corner. It's only been 2 games, so I'm not going to panic around Shaun Wade, and he should still be a first-round pick if he gets back, and maybe even the top 10 or top 15 pick, if he gets back to the guy I thought we were going to get this season. He hasn't been great this year. Penn State had a pretty rough showing. He was awesome 2019. I thought he was a better prospect than Damon Arnett, although, again, I'm not quite as high on Damon Arnett as other people were. So I like Shaun Wade. He had a rough showing against Penn State, was really good against Nebraska. That's somewhat acceptable. I think he's going to be fine. I'm not convinced he is spend a top 5 pick on him right now, but as a reminder, there's still like half a college football season left. You got time. He's got time to develop, and if he tests really well at the combine like I think he's going to, it's going to be all good, and he's going to be an awesome football player. So I am on board with including Shaun Wade here. I just want to see how he plays the rest of the season. Some other names that I did not include, and again, this could change. I was hyped about Marvin Wilson entering this year. I had him as a top 10 guy preseason. He hasn't been very good. With the way he's playing, he's not interior defensive line number 1, and he may or may not go in round 1. The impact has suddenly disappeared. I am concerned. Christian Barmore, who is not quite to a Quinnen Williams-type jump at this point, has honestly been a better prospect this year only. Kwity Paye is a freaky edge rusher out of Michigan with some great production this year. And I included Trey Lance in there because I don't want to take Trey Lance. I think the legitimate best-case scenario for Lance is I get Dak Prescott. You can argue Trevor Lawrence and or Justin Fields are going to be better, but I'm not going to downgrade at quarterback to save money. That's not something I really want to do. So because of that, I left him on the outside. But hey, maybe you can trade him. And you guys know how I want safeties. I don't think there are any right now worth a top 10 pick. Early round 2 and day 2, I'm all in. But right now, for a top 5-ish pick, no, not where I'm at.